Okay, so I got the box scraper in the shop today. As you can tell, that is bowed way, I don't know. I knew it was bent when I bought it. I'm not blaming anybody, but it's a little more obvious. I did have one of my subscribers that he called me up the other day and he had a pretty good idea. He thought I could put like a ratchet binder in the middle and pull it and just keep working with it, and it would eventually straighten out. And I think he's right, except I'd probably need three of them. You can see behind each one of these supports, for lack of a better word, I guess that's what they are, supports. There's a problem there. This 3x3 angle, there's a 1/4 inch plate, that's the back of this, and then there's the blade. The blades are actually just a greater blade, I believe. I don't know if that's what they had to begin with when they were new, but it's two 5-foot sections split in the middle. And if I'm not mistaken, they are the same bolt pattern as the Cat 112 out here. So the blades will be easy to find. But what I'm going to do is cut these blades off. I'm going to cut that angle iron off. I've got a new piece of angle. It's actually, there's Roxy. Hey, you want to be on the camera? Well, look at the camera. There you go. There you go. Anyway, I've got some angle out here. I didn't buy it. It's some we've got left over from some other projects. So my thought is, since I got a little bit of time, I'm rained out for a day or two. Well, I'll probably be back to work tomorrow. Should have started yesterday. We finally got rain in Oklahoma, but what I'm thinking, I'm going to cut this old one off. You can see this blade is just wore plumb out, and the problem is if I put a new blade on with this bow in it, and me and Roxy been talking about this, if we do that, the middle of that blade will be way deeper, and you can see, I don't know if you can see from here, but if you look at that blade from back here, you can see that it's wider at the end and narrower in the middle, and that's because that box is bowed. But my thinking is I can cut those angles off, cut the blade bolts loose. They're no good. And then I can probably straighten that 1/4 inch plate. And once I get it straight, I'm going to go ahead and put three braces up to the front instead of just one. I think that was a weakness on this box blade. This thing's probably been drugged by something pretty big. You can see somebody's pulled the hitch plumb off of it at one point. Now you won't be in the camera. Yeah. So they've had it on something with a lot of horsepower, and they probably hit a stump or something and tore the hitch off of it. For what I'm going to be doing with it, I'm not worried about this weld. I mean, it might not hurt since it's flipped up this way to, I mean, the hitch is fairly straight. They did a pretty good job getting it back straight. I'm not worried about that. It pulls close enough to center for me. But like I say, that's the plan. I don't think this vertical part here is bowed. It might be a little bit, but I really don't want to go into a full rebuild on the thing. I mean, that's why I bought a blade that was already built. I didn't want to build a new one. So we're going to get it straight somehow or another, and that's my plan. Anyway, we got some cooler weather. We got some rain come in. It's been pretty nice for, it was a little bit chilly this morning, windy and cool, but And I think we got 1.5 inches of rain or something like that, which is not near enough, but it's way more than what we had. These side plates, I'm thinking I might mess with trying to straighten those, and then a lot of the newer ones have a piece of angle iron welded, just laid down flat, or not flat, but with the angle to the point to the top. A lot of the newer ones have a brace in there, and that keeps this from happening. Of course, a good operator could keep that from happening also. But I don't think this is going to be, it's going to be a big repair, don't get me wrong, but it's not going to be as bad as what it looks like. I mean, I want to put new blades on it. I want it to cut flat, the full width of the, I don't want it to cut deeper in the middle. I don't want it to make shallow, I don't know what you'd call it. Don't want it to do that, so it needs to be straightened out. Anyway, I'm gonna get the torch out, torch off some bolts. Okay, I got the angle cut off pretty much everywhere. I put a little bit of pressure. I mean, I'm not really giving it that much. Put a little pressure on it. It straightened out a little bit by itself, but just a little bit of come along pressure. I've got it within about 1 inch, and it was about 2 inches out. But I just had a thought, and I think it might work better than trying to pull it forward, is to use the hydraulics. The cylinder is pretty much retracted where it's at, so if we use the hydraulics and we put a bar between here and up here, that's hot, and there and up there, I can use the tractor and I can actually just use the hydraulics to push it forward. And I think that'll work better because that's going to put the pressure right here where it needs to be and not on the plate. If I pull too hard on the plate, it's just going to warp the plate. But if I can, what I'm thinking is probably do the middle of it first, pull it up to where it's straight, and then weld in another brace like they used to have in there to hold that plate straight. And once it's good, then I can move to each side. And like I say, it doesn't need but about 1 inch where it's sitting right here, it's about a little wider there, but so by using the hydraulics to force that back in place, I think would be better than trying to pull it with a come along. So that's where I'm at right now, but what I'll have to do to make that happen is probably weld a piece of plate where I can wedge a piece of steel between this pipe and the plate. Okay, so was going to use another piece of 3x3/4 angle, and I found this 3x4/1/2, and that will be more better on that back blade. I'm going to put the 4-inch to the back, 3-inch will be up just like it used to be. I've got some new cutting edges. I'm going to have to drill new holes. They're different. I didn't get the greater blades. I got some what they call box blades. They're 7 foot, so I'm going to cut one. I'm going to put one on full length, 7 foot, and I'm going to I'll cut the other and fit the gap on the other end. One reason I like the box blades is they're reversible and they're cheaper. So that's kind of what I'm thinking there is cheaper and reversible is better than more expensive and not reversible. So they're an 8-inch wide blade. These were a 6, so they got supposedly 2 inches of wear surface on each side. And but I think by having this 1/2 inch thick and a wider flange will actually be more resistance to bending backwards. I was thinking about putting 3 braces across. I don't know yet. I might just put one in the middle like it had before. The reason for that, I think that middle part is taking the majority of the work from the hydraulic cylinder and applying it out to the ends. There's not a whole lot of torque on these ends. All the torque is actually in the center where it's doing the lifting. Okay, so I'll show you how I cut angle iron. How I was taught. Always start at the outside edge, cut toward the center because it's thicker. Slow down at the top, and you'll actually burn through most of the other side, and then something hanging on right in the middle there. That wasn't that clean. Should have fell off. But anyway, that's how I cut it. Anyway, I'll get a measurement, cut the other end the same way, and we'll go from there. We'll be able to set this in place, make sure everything's going to clear. I'm not sure about this longer leg on here, if that's going to cause an issue. I don't think it will. I really think it's going to be clear of everything, but it will be stronger, especially by being 1/2 inch thick. Anyway, that's not too bad of a cut. A little grinding work, clean that up. Got a lot of racket going on. Got the 930 in here. I went ahead and made this. I'm gonna put this all the way through to the back of this. I've got that bar. This is a little bit thicker. It's a 3/8 bar instead of a 1/4. But what I want to do is get this pulled back up in place, and we'll adjust. Well, apparently my welder's trying to weld without me. But I just tacked that in place, but I'm going to use the hydraulics to pull this forward. We'll see how this works. think it might work. You can see the string line. We got about we're better now. We're about 1.5 inches. I'll just set the camera here and I'll adjust I'll do some adjusting on the tracker until we get this right. Once I get that center part right, then I can adjust the sides. This is just kind of a way I think might make life easier. We'll just kind of use the tractor hydraulics and we'll go up until that bar starts to touch. That might have been a bit too much. Actually, that got it pretty darn straight. So what I can do now is I can adjust the length of this bar, and I can weld it at the front and weld it at the back. But my thinking was if it pulls through the back of that brace would be a lot stronger than if it goes just to the face of that blade. The face of the blade, where it was welded before, it actually pulled the 1/4 inch plate forward. Or just a little bit too, maybe just a little bit too much. I might back it off just a little bit. I think once it's set, it's not going to move much. But, oh, that's too much the other way. Kind of hard to fine tune it, but we need to go just a little more forward. Just a little bit at a time until we get it right on the money. One of the nice things about this O'Case tractor is it doesn't back off. Once it's set, the sucker will hold the implement up all night long. So I think we're good in the center. We're still got a gap on both sides. Tell you what I might do is just go just a little bit past center, and then I'll mark this bar, I'll cut it off, I'll go ahead and weld it up. I think we're just right there right now, so pretty darn close. But by having this tie bar through the back of that plate up to the front, that shouldn't ever be able to pull back again, I hope. I was really hoping these two sides would pull up a little bit better. Once I get this in place, I may clamp this angle down and just see if it pulls them forward. It might, since it's such a heavy angle. I think it might work. So what we'll do now, kind of got in a bind or something there. Ouch. Pull that back over to the center and we'll, I think we need to go forward actually. Might be a little tight there. I guess since I moved that plate forward, it kind of tightened stuff up a little bit. The only thing I'm worried about is if the blade's gonna have enough room there. Got a big old gap now. Tell you what I might do is take and mark this and cut it again. I'd give it a little bit different angle and it'll straighten out. What I can do is just set this down. We'll get a more accurate angle on there this time. Hello, doggy. What are you doing? Huh? What's up? What's up? What's going on? What are you doing? She's trying to get me to go do something else. This ain't no fun for her. Okay, grab my gloves. We'll do a little trim there. Like I say, I don't know if this is going to work great, if it's going to work at all, but I think it's going to be a lot better than what we had before. A little bit of an ugly cut there. Okay, so that fits way better there. So I got a little bit of a, I didn't quite get my hole straight, but about as good as it's going to get. Now I can mark the back side of that. And what I'm thinking is I'll just weld up the back side of it after I trim that. We're still real close right there. Tangled up mess of cords and hoses here, but trying to get something done. So now, I'm going to hit that with the grinder just a bit. Just to take the slag off, and I'm going to tack it up with some 60-10. And then I'll probably come back with some 70-18. Just because that's kind of what I got in my hand right now. Okay, so we can put that down there where it's straight in the middle. I probably should have put a plate underneath the, I probably should have put a plate under this, but I think it'll be all right. I mean, at some point I may have to replace this anyway. So, got that side welded. I might pull it just a little more forward. I want to be sure we get it right. A little bit too much might be better than not enough. So I'm going to weld a couple of, I'm just going to use a piece of chain link. I got a piece handy here, a couple of them. I'm going to weld on there Hopefully you can see what I'm talking about. But I'm gonna put a bar between, I'm gonna use my porta power and see if I can't push these forward. So first thing I'll do, weld a couple of tabs on there to get something to hold against. I need to, well, I gotta be able to push up against something. So we'll see how this works. It might not work, I don't know. I might just do one side and try it out. I think it's gonna work. We'll see. Come on. That clamp is tight. They cut about 1/4 inch off of it. Don't know how that happened. Somebody didn't measure something right. Yeah. See if I do any better today. Oh yeah, fell right off there that time. And I didn't even have the camera looking at it. See? It's hot, don't touch it. And now we're down against this. We're pretty solid there, I think. I about cut too much off that angle, but we can put some weld back in there and make up the difference, so ain't that big a deal. But now I've got everything's looking good. I've got a gap here, I've got it touching on the end. So there's a gap right where I'm pushing this forward, which is what I wanted. So I basically I might back it off just a little bit, see what it does, but I'd like that to be down a little lower, actually. Which it can't go any lower because it's hitting the bottom there. So that's okay. But what I can do is weld this side up on this end, and I think we'll be set right there where we want to be. It seems we're sticking up above the plate just a little bit, and I don't know, I can't figure out why. But this part here sticks up above this plate. Maybe this plate's wore down. It's almost flush here. It is flush in the center. I mean, worst case scenario, I measured these side plates and they're within a 1/16. This one is about a 1/16 inch shorter than the other side at the back, top to bottom. Now that is if they build them the same at the factory. Who knows? You wouldn't know it if it was an 1/8 inch out. But everything looks pretty good. I can weld up this end. I may go ahead and tack the middle on the bottom of that bracket, and then we'll put the porta power on the other side over there, and we'll jack it up same way we did this. Once this is welded in place and that's welded in place, I should be able to back this off, and that shouldn't go, it shouldn't push that back. I say shouldn't because I don't think it's got enough pressure. It shouldn't have enough power to do that, I don't think. So anyway, yeah, some 7018. This is a 532 rod. Big stuff. Well, ain't that big, but I usually just burn 1/8 inch on most stuff, but they were out of 1/8 inch and they had this, so I said, hey, that'll work. I think we're good enough. A little bit of an overhead uphill here. And there's a little flag on it, so it ain't just real clean. I should have ground that off a little better. So we got a little bit of trash fighting with there. It's better if you can get your rod to point uphill. Like when you're starting in the back of the corner, you can't really do that, but I'll kind of blow that force up. About to run out of welding lead here, it's kind of in a bind. Kind of got a little kink. All right. Okay, so I think this is going to work. Drilled one hole, and I've been laying out. I've actually got 2 marks there. I missed the first one. I need to do the one on that side. But I'm centering 12 3/4 inches is the center line between the holes on the blade. You can see one there and one there. There'll be 5 on this side. This is the center line of the blade. And I got the drill set up on the hoist. It's raining. I don't know. You can probably hear that. It's not really raining hard, but it's lightly raining. It got cold. Feels like winter time. But I've got 1 hole drilled, and it does work from this side. It helps having this hoist to hold it while I set it up. And I'll show you. What I do is I basically I got my T-square set up on a 1 5/8 down. So I'll scribe a line, and then I use this divider to go between holes. This gives me an exact measurement. After I center punch one, then I'll mark it. But what I'll do is I'll put that blade on. I'll get it cut to length. I'll go ahead and bolt it up, and then I'll start at this end and work back to the middle. And I'm having to leave it off the edge because there's a weld inside of the blade, so it won't set up flat unless I bevel the back side. I guess I could have did that, but it's okay if it sits just a little bit inside, I think. Anyway, I'll get the drill set up here. I've got my headlight on so I can see these holes or these marks a little better, but I'll show you how this works. Mag drill, these are worth having. They're pretty nice. This one's drilled a lot of holes, but I'm using this. Well, since there's a bevel inside here, I use this piece of plate to hold that magnet back so it sits on the flat. And like I say, the chain hoist is so nice to have. We can set it down, clean the bird nest off. So whenever you drill using these sluggers, they leave and they're sharp too, but they leave a small plug. So when you drill through the first layer of steel, you got to back up, eject the plug, and then start over. But these also, when you retract this bit, it's got a center point that comes down. You can line up with your punch mark. What we do is we get it down here close. And I don't have a full magnet. Well, that hoist is going to be in my way there. I thought I could use that strap, but that ain't going to work. I can probably get it set and then take the strap loose. Anyway, I get it close, turn the magnet on. We'll leave the hoist kind of snug so that if you do lose power, it won't just fall. But we'll double check after I got the magnet turned on. Okay, I think we're in the right spot now. Need my oil can. We're ready to start drilling. Yeah, it ejected, I guess. Okay, so now we can slide over to the next one. you're doing a bevel, it's really good to preheat. Because when you're not cutting straight down, that heat tends to, I don't know, it just doesn't work very good. And these cutting edges cut just a little different than regular steel. See, the sparks look a little different. There might be some kind of hardening in them, I don't know. Could be. Whoop. I think my tip's leaking. I kind of heard a little squeaking sound. I think the seal on my... Well, that's kind of ugly, but it'll work for... I hope it'll work. I think it's enough. It's got a pretty good size weld back there. The only thing, when you turn these blades over, you're going to have to flip end for end, so that's another reason I need to keep everything. I mean, since the hole patterns are not going to be consistent, I've got a different width at this end than I do this end. I'm going to have to flip them end for end, so that's one reason I'm trying to keep everything pretty much centered. That's heavy. Pretty heavy. Where'd that bolt go? One of them got lost here. But yeah, this is coming out good. I mean, I went a little bit farther down. I probably could have kept it. I could have made the blade a little bit longer, but I kind of felt like that mainly for strength and just, I mean, this is plenty of cutting edge to wear off before you flip it, I think. So that is that. I can go ahead and tighten that one up, and we're fitting good in that corner. We got a little clearance. Get the earthquake on it. I was a little worried that cutting edge was going to hang down too far, but the way it curves and the angle of that back of that blade, I mean, it's going to be just about right, I think. I mean, this is, if you look at this from the side here, you only got a couple of inches below the edge plate, but that's going to wear. It could wear all the way down to this point here, so maybe I should have put the holes up a little higher, but I didn't really want to chance having them on the edge. Even though this is thicker plate, I decided I'd put them down a little bit farther to the back. I wanted to have room for a socket. I didn't want to put them down too far. But I probably could have actually went up a 1/4 inch, give a little bit more wear plate, but that's okay. I think it's a dang sight better than it was when I started. So Anyway, you get back to drilling. Mag drill, that's the easiest way to do this. There's just not a better way to do it, I don't think. But you can kind of see the reason I did the bevel here is there's a weld on the inside of this box plate and this side plate, and I had to kind of bevel it to get some clearance so that all this is up flat again. Well, going through my footage, I realized the last bit of the footage I had was gone. So this is after I've taken it out and used it a bit, and you can see we got a lip here that holds a lot of dirt, but this thing does a pretty good job of digging now. Everything works way better. The only thing that I might change about this is I've got a lot of slack in these linkages, so it won't actually lift the tires. Well, I say this, they come up to where they just almost come off the ground, but not quite. So if this linkage was tightened up a little bit better, that would dig in better. Sam's looking at me like I'm crazy. What do you think, Sam? I think it's too cold out here. It's cold this morning. It's not windy though, it's pretty nice. The sun's shining. Another good hit. Oh, that was almost it there. My old starter is not liking this. It usually cranks right up. She's real close. Not sure the grid heater works. We'll give it another go here though. Anyway, I'll show you how the lift's plenty high. Pretty nice lift. And then, well, I'll take it back. It will lift the back wheels. It just kind of balances out. So, but that's okay. That's about right. That works for box blading. But anyway, it'll dig a lot better now that it's got a sharp edge on it. A lot nicer. Anyway, that's the conclusion of this video on rebuilding.